It's Jason?
This is Jason, yes.
Cool. All good over here.
Excellent. I'm good, thank you. How is New York?
Treating me well so far.
So far, so good?
Yeah. We got some, rain yesterday, but other than that, it's been a great week over here.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And rain's definitely a lot different than what you'd be getting at home right now, I'm sure.
Well, actually, it's still in the rain mode. The world is changing, and we used to have winters from November onwards, but still, we only just got the first batch of snow, and then it melted, and now it's just rain and mushy. So it's better here, trust me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think we must be getting Finnish weather then in Thunder Bay, because we've got lots of snow, and it's very, very cold today. Yeah,
I saw it on the news that you guys have some blizzards around some of the areas here. And
yeah,
I don't know what's happening. It's getting ridiculous. Well, I hope we get the Californian weather at some point. If it keeps changing like this. But
that would be nice.
Yeah.
I wonder if the climate keeps changing, if music keeps changing, or sorry, if weather keeps changing, if that will affect music.
I'm sure it would, because let me tell you, if we had all of a sudden we had the California weather, nobody would make any albums, because everybody would just be out on the beach and having fun. That's the secret of the whole Finnish scene. Like, okay, it's raining, it's cold, it's dark. I'm just going to stay home and write a song.
Absolutely.
Complain about it. Yeah.
And then maybe spend some time in the sauna afterwards.
Exactly.
Yeah. So is this your first trip to North America?
No, not at all. I've been here just traveling around I think this is my 6th time here. I've been to New York 3 times, and then the West Coast also, like mostly Hollywood and LA, but then San Francisco, San Diego. Then I also went to Detroit to meet a friend and drove around that area in Chicago. So I've been around here.
Excellent.
Yeah, I like visiting here at least once a year.
Absolutely. Yeah, visiting's okay, but not necessarily a move to North America in your future anytime soon?
I don't know. There'd have to be a good reason. I would not have a problem with that at all, but well, every time I go to stay with my friend's place in West Hollywood, I'm like, yeah, I belong here, looking out at the palm trees and like all of the cool shows you guys have there all the time, and like, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's good to visit also. Helsinki is a great place to go back home to, especially after, hanging at Times Square for a week and not be able to move with so many people in the subways and on the streets. Then Helsinki is just a perfect side city.
Right.
And it's the same thing. I was just in Tokyo to do some promotion in November, and it's ridiculous. It's like twice the craziness of Times Square, but it's just everywhere there and all the time, 24/7. It's really something straight out of a movie.
No doubt. Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about Tokyo and about going to do some promotion there.
Yeah. No, it was a great trip. We've been there once with the band to play a few years ago, and it's a whole different story. Japan, it's so different. Like Europe and the States, you kind of it's not that different, but Japan is it's something else.
Do you think with the new album that you'll be touring Japan or doing some shows in Japan?
Yeah, it definitely looks so.
Excellent.
I'd be surprised if it wouldn't happen this year, because we have a bunch of plans, like 90% confirmed. So I'm not to get my hopes up too much. In this business, you hear so much like, oh, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, and then we have this planned, and then half of it never materializes.
Right.
Japan looks good now. Japan and China as well, some Asian stuff.
Wow, excellent.
Yeah.
That would be great if that all worked out for you.
Yeah, definitely.
And you're coming to play in North America in March for the first time.
For the very first time, yeah. That is really cool, because, you start out when you're 14, you pick up the guitar when you're 11, looking at Slash and Metallica and Dimebag Darrell, all those American bands that influenced us to start playing. So, of course, America is always like, oh, yeah, we got to play there. It's New York and L.A. and Chicago, all those places. You hear about them, you see them in movies, you see them in the music videos, and the bands talk about it. And so it's always like been one of the dreams of the band to get over here and try our music to North American people. So I'm very happy about that. And I hear good things about South by Southwest in Austin, like it's one crazy big party and so much going on.
Absolutely, that's what I've heard as well. So I'm sure that there will be lots for you to see and do while you're there outside of playing.
Yeah.
And will you be doing any other shows other than the South by Southwest show?
Just around that area,
Okay.
like in Austin, different kind of showcases, maybe some parties for a few songs acoustically or whatever.
Right.
And but yeah, no like proper touring during that time. But we're planning with the label and our American booking agent to come back later this year.
Excellent.
Right. Actually, just now fighting for a year-long visas, working visas. So we need to utilize those as much as possible once we have them.
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard that that's very expensive.
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, but what can you do, huh?
Yeah, exactly. You have the album coming out through the End Records. Is this the first time that you've had a North American record label?
We've had them before. All the previous albums we did, we were signed to Spine Farm in Europe, and they licensed it to whoever they saw fit. Or, like for example, the last album was supposed to come out through Spine Farm USA, which is like was a one-man label. I don't know, but I don't think it ever was released here properly. Maybe on iTunes or whatever.
Right.
And the second album did come out through Candlelight. Yeah, I think it was Candlelight USA, because I actually saw the CD, the damn thing, when I was here.
Okay.
In 2006. I saw it in Virgin Megastore. I'm like, okay, this is officially out over here. But this is a whole different story, because now we released it by ourselves in Finland, and we negotiated this deal with the End Records, and now we actually have a proper label over here who is promoting it, and like, well, for example, I'm talking to you right now.
Exactly.
I usually did almost no, or we didn't do any North American press pretty much before. So it looks better than ever at the moment.
That's awesome.
At the end, everybody at the end, we had dinner with them. They're just a bunch of really cool guys and girls, and yeah. So I hope it goes well.
Excellent. Well, I hope it goes well for you also.
Thank you.
Now, the band has obviously changed over the years, as bands do and as people do, and Beneath kind of picks up where Show Your Colors left off.
Yeah.
Was there a difference in the writing process? I mean, other than I know you had a member change between albums. Was there a difference in the writing process for you guys with Beneath?
Well, that was basically the change. Just that we have some member changes. So the last album, it used to go like this. For the first three albums, it was me and the old guitar player. We wrote pretty much 50-50 everything. He'd had some riffs, because we used to be much more riff-oriented band, just riff after riff after riff, like death metal kind of stuff. So he had some ideas, I had some ideas. We'd combine them and work on the songs together. On Show Your Colors, he was already kind of getting a bit distant from the group. Like, we didn't really see it at the moment, but he wasn't bringing as much material to the table as before. So I already had to write a lot more music to that one without even realizing it. But it was actually pretty good, because it prepared me to write most of the new one alone. Because if you would have asked me a few years ago, like, could I do it by myself, like most of the album, or a whole album, can I write lyrics for a whole album and songs for the whole album? Like, I don't think so. But with Show Your Colors already being a bit like that, then that gave me confidence to go into it without a songwriting partner.
Right.
Which I prefer to have a songwriting partner. I'm very lucky to have a new one. We found Masi, the new guitar player, and he came maybe 2-3 months before the studio or whatever. We already had 12 songs, so we were ready to go. Studio's booked. I was planning like, well, I'll just play all the guitars if we don't find anybody suitable, because that's not a problem in the studio. But luckily we found him. He came in, like the same week he joined the band, he brought 2 great song ideas, like just killer riffs, cool stuff, and I'm like, we gotta use that. So I took those ideas, finished them off, so we had 2 more songs to do, and he really stepped up to the plate. He just jumped aboard, brought new songs, did some killer leads all over the album. But yeah, the writing process was a bit different, because I did it actually like alone this time. I didn't have anybody to bounce ideas off from. But it was cool, because before on the previous albums, it was always like the guitar players would do a demo, and then the other guy would do a drum demo, like on computer, and give that to the drummer. So the drummer like kind of like got the finished product in his hand before he even heard the song for the first time. Whereas this time it was much more about jamming, and because I can't computer drums for shit, I don't have the patience for that. So I just do the music, and then I take it to the practice room, just me and the drummer, and like, oh, try this kind of stuff, or try this kind of beat, and the drummer really, Johanna, who co-founded the band with me, he really appreciated it because it gave him that much more freedom and input to the music. So it worked out well. It was cool to do something a bit different, not just the same old demo routine with, oh, here how the drum goes, and this is what you play, and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So it felt much more loose, much more natural. It felt more like a real band instead of just putting riffs one after the other and telling everybody what to play. Right.
And did that, as you were saying, the drummer obviously really appreciated it, and did it make maybe even bring the band a little bit closer together doing it that way?
I think so, yeah. I really think so. And also the member changes. It always sounds bad, and it's never a fun thing to do to lose a member, especially if they're leaving or kicking somebody out. But there's a reason for it, and we've noticed that every time we have a member change, it's always for the better, because the vibe in the band gets so much better, because every time you lose somebody, the signs are up in the air. He's more distant, he might be cranky or bitching about stuff and not really there and doesn't want to be at the shows. So once you get somebody new in, you get somebody hungry, somebody who really appreciates being in the band, somebody who wants to get up there and play live, somebody who has something he wants to show the world what he can do. So the best example of that was our latest European tour we did, the first one with our new bass player and singer. And we used to do all the previous tours. We're fortunate enough to have a proper tour bus, a nightliner, 2 floors, the DVD, the PlayStation, the kitchens, all that, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
So we're kind of spoiled because we started like that from the first tour. Whereas the last one we did was old school in a van, sleeping on top of each other. A bunch of guys sleeping in the back on top of the gear.
Right.
And we were like, oh no, how are we going to pull this off? I'm sure we're just going to break up on the road because we're used to having it so much more comfortable. But it was the best tour we've ever done, so much fun, because everybody was hungry, everybody was ready to do everything they could do, and no complaining, nobody bitched about anything. It was so funny. We'd wake up in the morning, go backstage, and there's the headlining band and their crew is like, oh, the roads here in Eastern Europe is so bad. I didn't really sleep that well in my nightliner bunk.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there, I just woke up on the floor of a van, so why don't you shut the fuck up, please? And we all were smiling in happy moods, and nobody's getting sick, and all those old dudes in the bus are getting sick and complaining. So it's all about attitude.
Yeah.
And it really showed us that, yeah, you got to have a good group around you who wants to be there on tour to appreciate it and to make it work.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it sounds like you guys are pretty hungry to get over to North America and bring some music over here as well. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because we've never done it before. So the hunger is still there. We have a lot to prove still, and we believe in this album, we believe in this band, we really want to see what it can do, and just to make sure that as many people as possible hear this material. That's the most important thing. Just spread the word, and because we think we're doing something a bit different. It's not a genre album. You can't really put a stamp on it like, oh, it's this or it's that. It's just all kinds of moods and cool little changes and vibes on the album, because we get bored really easily. We can't do an album full of just one style of music, even though I think it would be easier to label and easier to market that way, but just not our cup of tea. Oh, fair enough.
So some people call this a commercial suicide, to well, there's no any kind of, you can't really label this thing. What is this? You have 4 poppy hit singles on there, then you have a 9-minute epic tune and some progressive music. What are you guys doing? We wrote this song, we felt this way, we wrote that song, we felt that way, and we think they sound good next to each other, so that's how it's going to be.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah, I think so. You should definitely do. People always talk about being honest, and music coming from the heart, and then you listen to the album, it's like, oh, well, yeah, it sounds like everything else that it's out there at the moment.
Exactly.
You know, with your vocoders and your crab mushing and whatever kids do these days. But yeah, even when the fans got really pissed at us for changing the style of the music and the singing style, well, shouldn't just be happy that the band is actually being honest to themselves and keeping it real. You know, that would be faking it, just continuing on the death metal path, even though we weren't really 100% there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think a lot of people forget that that bands and musicians are people too, and that people's tastes change, and the way people feel about certain things change.
Yeah.
So why should their music stay exactly the same if they're changing? I
know. And it's kind of hard because you don't want to lose fans. They've been there, they come to the shows, they have your T-shirt on, and we really love it and appreciate it that people show the enthusiasm and they really love the first 3 albums. But then again, you can't just make that set the tone and the course for the rest of your life with the band. Like, okay, we gotta please the guys who bought the first 3 albums.
Yeah.
You gotta take risks and do what feels natural and best for you. So. And just hope for the best. And luckily, we have some fans who enjoyed both styles. Like, that's the most awesome thing, when people who you know were really hardcore fans on the 3rd album with All Growling, and then they hear the Show Your Colors album, like, well, dude, now I can definitely hear that this is the sound that you were gonna go for, and the band was evolving into all this all along. So this is really your sound finally.
Right.
It's really cool to hear.
That's awesome.
But then again, there's a lot of people who didn't feel that way, but then you lose some, you make some new fans.
Absolutely. And who knows, if you had not stayed true to yourselves, you might not be doing music right now. Yeah, because if you would get bored and the heart wasn't into it anymore, then you'd play less guitar and write lesser songs, and yeah, I think it was definitely the right thing to do. Just follow your own path. Absolutely. You guys were done with Beneath in it was the end of March of 2011. It was done recording. Yeah. Has it been like torture waiting for the album to actually come out? I know it was released back home in November. And it's late October. But yeah, it was a long wait. It sucks. It always sucks. We've had that before. Sometimes when you record the album early on during the year, and then you can't really make it the release date before the summer, and then the label doesn't want to release anything during the summer. Right. We have to wait till October to get it out, it really is painful to sit on an album because you're so proud of it and you want everybody to hear it and hear their opinions about it, and like, oh, it's going to be out in 6 months. And again, now with the North American release, it's even longer. But I think it's better, especially now that we did it ourselves. Like, we put it on our own label in Finland, because we didn't like the deals we were getting offered weren't all that great. Right. For like proper artist album deals. So we just prefer to do it this way, like record and pay for everything ourselves, and then look for licensing deals, which we did to America and Japan. And now we're trying to do it to Europe as well, like outside of Finland. Right. But yeah, sitting on it was not a good time. What can you do? Yeah. I'd rather do the business side as good as possible instead of just rushing it. Like, oh my God, it's ready, we have to get it out, and then do it half-assed. Yeah. Like, we could have done something with North America earlier, but we prefer to wait, sit on it for a while, look what we get offered, work on the deal with the end, see what's the best situation for everybody, and then put it out when it's ready. Absolutely. Yeah, I think so. And you also, with the North American release of Beneath, you added an extra track on. Yeah. Sleeping with Strangers. And it's got kind of a really cool, almost like an 80s blues rock feel to it. I know, yeah. Was there a reason why this was left off the original release and then put on left off the finished release and then put on for the North American release? Yeah, well, we had to leave something off. Like I said, we had 14 tracks because I already had an hour worth of material before Masi brought his 2 killer songs that we just felt had to be on the album, right. Also on the European version. So
with the material being as versatile as it was, we decided to like take the edges from it, because we already had like so many different kind of styles of metal and rock in there. So let's just take the two opposite sides, like the most death metal-y kind of song, which ended up on the Japanese version, and then this blues rock vibe song, Sleeping with Strangers. Let's just leave those off to make it like more wholesome package.
Right.
And then use them as a bonus track for whatever release that needs one. So that was the main reason, and it was really painful to decide on which tracks to leave out, because we really liked both of those songs.
Right.
Until now, we've never ever had bonus songs except for cover songs. We always had the exact amount of music that we're going to put on the album. So this was a cool problem to have. Like, okay, we have this many songs that we're really proud about. So, but what we're going to leave off? And for example, the Staying Human song, which is on the Japanese version, was our singers and Mossy's, the new guitar player's, favorite song on the album.
Oh,
so
gee.
they were not pleased when it got thrown out of there. But they understood, because it's the one song that was most reminiscent of like the old Amoral sound.
Right.
So it didn't really fit on the album. But this one, I can easily see this one in there, even though it's a bit more bluesy than the rest of the stuff. But there's the hard rock chorus and like a lot of guitar playing going on and stuff like that. So it definitely fits the album, and we really like the song. And it's cool that now it's finally going to get released, so we can start playing it live as well.
Definitely.
And I guess we're going to play it in Austin, because it's a great live song. We actually played it once before this album was even recorded. We did like a secret little show in Helsinki to try out some new songs, and we played that one, and it went down really good. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. And will you guys be, just out of curiosity, do you think you'll be filming or recording your live stuff in Austin, maybe putting it up on the web at some point?
I'm sure we're going to film something. We're going to take the video cam with us, and everybody has cameras in their phones these days as well. So
it's true, yeah.
We're going to make some kind of a little documentary out of it, for sure. We like to document everything. It's fun to look back and when you're old and, oh yeah, I was in Texas back in 2012.
Right.
So we'll do something with it.
Excellent. Well, Ben, thanks so much for taking some time to speak to me today. I really appreciate it. I'm sure you've got a million other things on your plate for the day.
Yeah, today is actually the busiest day. Like every other day I had just one or two interviews here and there, but today, like this last work day of the week, so they're all lined up for today.
Of course.
Cool.
Of course.
Well, thank you for doing this.
No
I really
problem.
appreciate it.